Straight to the papers today. Dipty's talking more about that damning new book about Joe Biden released today. Original Sin by CNN's Jake Tapper, exploring Biden's mental decline, Dipty.
Yeah, that's right. The reactions are coming in thick and fast, Stuart, after the publication of that book, Original Sin, by Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, both journalists in the US. It comes just, of course, days after the Bidens reveal that he has metastatic prostate cancer. Now, the book, the Rolling Stone magazine says, notably claims that Joe Biden's cognitive decline was far more severe behind the scenes than what we were led to believe publicly, or what was at least publicly visible, and that his inner circle actively engaged to cover up his diminishing memory. It's prompted much soul-searching and backlash from Democrats, Rolling Stone says here. Jake Tapper, for his part, has faced backlash for not focusing more on Biden's record as a president. Conservatives have accused the Democrats of a cover-up. So the reaction and fallout from this book is quite big. This is from the Wall Street Journal today. The conservative business journal says it's a conspiracy in plain view, accusing Democrat elites of basically adhering to a code of silence, and saying that many in the media even discouraged public talk about Joe Biden's decline until it was too late. It says Democrat elites in the media couldn't or wouldn't see what everyone else could see. I quote, a doddering, senescent president who was frequently incoherent and rambling. The paper adds an existential meltdown over Trump made Democrats cling to Biden like a talisman, but that talisman was ultimately an almighty curse for the Democrats. This is quite interesting here from the Washington Post. They are readers' letters to the editor, and they're all talking about this book. And you really see that sense of outrage and disappointment. One reader says, you know, it's time for the Democrats to move on from this, find a new candidate for 2028, and I quote, relegate baby boomers to history. But another says Joe and Jill Biden and the Democrats owe the public an apology. Clearly, some see it as a betrayal by the Democrats. While the Economist offers a more tempered viewpoint, saying here that Joe Biden did not decline alone because the party and the press were complicit in covering it up, or at least hiding how bad it was. It says here, his party and the press lost altitude along with him.
Dipty's found mixed reactions from the British papers today after the EU and Britain shook hands on a deal concerning defence, fisheries and energy as well.
Well, this is the front pages really say it all, Stuart. Britain and EU turn a page with the Brexit reset deal. That's what the Independent says here on its front page. The Financial Times also quite triumphant. UK and EU agree post-Brexit reset of trade links at showpiece summits. So really underpinning how symbolic this moment was, coming 9 years, of course, after that fateful Brexit referendum vote. You also have this analysis here from The Guardian, which says, you know, that Sir Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister's post-Brexit reset offers clear benefits, but that there are political risks too. In particular, it says, it alludes to the fact that he recognized for the first time yesterday something that his predecessors have denied for years, that Brexit damaged Britain. But the paper says in doing so, he also risks being accused of betrayal by his rivals and voters in finding this sort of consensus with EU leaders yesterday.
Dipty, I suspect not all the papers are saying the same thing. What are the pro-Brexit papers saying?
Well, look at this here on the Daily Telegraph. Kiss goodbye to Brexit. Quite literally, this is a picture of Keir Starmer and Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commission President, embracing each other. So Daily Telegraph certainly sees it as a betrayal. The Daily Express uses the word betrayal here on its front page. Keir's abject surrender is a betrayal of Brexit Britain, it says. And the paper's really upset about the agreement on fisheries, notably that there will be a sort of cooperation between EU and the EU and Britain when it comes to fisheries. It says that back in 2016, Britain voted Brexit to leave the EU, notably to take back control of its fishing industry, and that the deal now will essentially undo all of that. While the Sun decides to go with a fishing pun, it says done up like a kipper on its front page, basically saying, Starmer has agreed to do all these things, pay billions for privilege, bow down to EU judges, but in return will get very little.
Now to France for this next story, facing a mega scrutiny for that story we told you about yesterday. This is its plan to build a mega prison in French Guiana.
Yeah, it got a lot of attention in the French press on the weekend, but now today the international press are talking about it a lot. This is from The Guardian, which talks about this story first reported on the weekend when French Justice Minister Gérald Darmanin announced plans to build this maximum security prison wing in French Guiana during a visit there. French Guiana, of course, is an overseas department and region. The French weekend paper Journal du Dimanche reported that the wing would be reportedly used to house Islamic terrorist inmates and drug traffickers. But it would also be near Devil's Island. This is a notorious penal colony where prisoners were sent by Napoleon III in the 1800s. So a lot of the local Guyanese MPs really, there's a lot of outcry about these plans. That's what The Guardian says, quoting one such a leader who called the decision insulting and disrespectful. Story.
Intrigued by this last one, Dipti. He was a rock star who knew a thing or two about prison. Jim Morrison, sent to prison in 1967 for disrupting public order. He died 4 years later in Paris, where he was buried at the Père Lachaise cemetery.
Yeah, and actually, so what happened was, when he was buried, 10 years after he was buried to to commemorate his 10th death anniversary, a Croatian artist called Mladen Mikulin sculpted a bust in honor of Jim Morrison at his gravesite at the Père Lachaise cemetery in Paris. Now, for 7 years, it became a symbolic tribute, fans flocking there to graffiti the bust of the Doors frontman, chipping off parts of it to take as a piece of souvenir until 1988. When it was stolen, mysteriously stolen. Now, 37 years later, French police have come across a marble bust while carrying out a fraud investigation, totally unrelated. But there's no word yet, Rolling Stone says, on whether on who did it, where it's been hiding for nearly 40 years, and whether it'll be returned to Jim Morrison's gravesite. If I may, though, let me end really quickly on this story, Stuart. The Times reporting today that you can now register for wedding gifts at Tesco's, Britain's biggest supermarket chain. Among them, you can offer the very useful but totally unromantic bundle of luxury toilet paper, kitchen rolls, bin bags, toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, and shower gel. Apparently, people want more useful items and less fancy items these years.
If it was tea bags, I'd be happy.
There are tea bags too.
Tea bags a lot.